From exploding pies to escaped bears, medieval royal feasts weren't always the fancy affairs we imagine. Join us as we explore 10 incredible kitchen disasters that shook medieval courts and turned elegant banquets into unforgettable chaos. Let's travel back to 1528, when King Henry VIII hosted a grand feast at Hampton Court Palace. The star of the show was meant to be a spectacular peacock pie, a beloved showpiece of medieval cooking where chefs would reconstruct the bird's colorful plumage over a cooked pie. But this particular pie had a major problem. The cook sealed it too tightly and trapped expanding hot air inside. As servants carried the pie to the king's table, the pressure built up until, boom! The pie exploded, showering nearby guests with hot filling and sending the carefully arranged feathers flying across the hall. The guests were covered in gravy and pastry, while the peacock's reconstructed head reportedly landed right in Cardinal Wolsey's lap. Henry VIII, known for his fierce temper, surprisingly found the whole incident hilarious and ordered extra wine for everyone to help wash down their unexpected food shower. In 1394, at a grand feast in Brittany, a chef's honest mistake nearly led to disaster. While preparing a traditional herb pudding for Duke John IV and his guests, the cook accidentally mixed in hemlock leaves, thinking they were flat-leaf parsley. The first sign of trouble came when several guests started feeling dizzy and sick. The Duke's food taster, who had sampled the pudding first, was already showing serious symptoms. Quick thinking from the court physician saved the day. He recognized the hemlock poisoning and treated the affected guests with strong wine and herbal remedies. This incident led to new rules about herb gathering. Only the head gardener could pick herbs for the kitchen, and every green had to be double-checked before cooking. The unfortunate chef wasn't punished, but he did spend the rest of his career under close supervision, earning the nickname Parsley Paul. Picture a grand feast in 1452 at the Burgundian court, where Duke Philip the Good wanted to show off his wealth with an impressive wine fountain. The setup was ambitious. 500 gallons of the finest Burgundy wine would flow through silver pipes into a marble fountain. But the pressure calculations were way off. When they turned on the fountain, wine sprayed everywhere with the force of a fire hose. Guests scrambled as red wine rained down, staining expensive clothes and tapestries. The marble floor turned into a dangerous wine skating rink, sending nobles sliding into each other like medieval bowling pins. The court jester, trying to help, slipped and surfed across the hall on his back, taking out 3 servants and a cheese display. The cleanup took days, and the wine-soaked tapestries never quite smelled the same again. Moving on to one of the most dramatic kitchen disasters, let's visit a feast at Leeds Castle in 1417. The royal cook had a bold plan to roast an entire ox in the castle courtyard. To speed up cooking, he used way too much fat and wine for basting, creating a massive grease fire that shot up the castle walls. The flames grew so high they caught the wooden scaffolding used for castle repairs. Guards and servants formed a bucket chain from the moat, while guests grabbed tapestries to help smother the flames. The cook, covered in soot but still determined, kept shouting, "The meat's not done yet," even as the castle smoldered. Thanks to quick action, they saved the castle, though the ox was completely charred. The feast ended up being bread and cheese in the garden while smoke poured from the courtyard. Let's dive into one of the most unfortunate days in food tasting history. In the summer of 1387, King Charles VI of France hosted a seaside feast featuring a massive spread of seafood. The food taster, Pierre Durant, faced an impossible task, sampling over 30 different fish dishes in rapid succession. The summer heat had turned some of the shellfish bad, but in his rush, Pierre missed the warning signs. Within hours, he and 20 guests were terribly sick. The castle doctor worked overtime, treating everyone with a mix of herbs and vinegar drinks. The king was saved only because he was late to dinner, dealing with a diplomatic crisis. After this disaster, Charles VI ordered that no seafood could be served if it traveled more than a day from the coast. Poor Pierre recovered, but from then on he insisted on testing food when it first arrived in the kitchen. In 1475, at the wedding feast of George, Duke of Bavaria, the castle kitchen attempted their most ambitious project yet, a 15-tier spiced honey cake tower. The massive creation stood nearly 12 feet tall, decorated with sugar sculptures and gilded ornaments. As servants carefully moved this towering masterpiece into the great hall, disaster struck. The bottom tiers began to buckle under the weight. The head chef noticed the lean and rushed forward, but it was too late. The entire cake crashed down like a sugary avalanche, taking with it 3 serving tables and creating a chain reaction. Wedding guests dove for cover as plates, goblets, and cake pieces flew everywhere. The bride, showing remarkable humor, grabbed a handful of the fallen cake and playfully smeared it on the groom's face, starting a castle-wide food fight that guests talked about for years. The medieval court's dinner entertainment took an unexpected turn in 1466 at a French noble's castle when 2 trained bears broke free from their handlers. These bears were supposed to dance for guests while they ate, but the smell of roasted meat drove them wild. They charged straight for the kitchen, sending cooks scrambling up shelves and into cupboards. One bear stuck its head into a pot of honey, while the other knocked over tables of prepared dishes. Guests watched in horror and amusement as the bears turned the kitchen into their personal buffet. The chaos only ended when quick-thinking servants used smoked ham to lure the bears into the wine cellar, where they trapped them behind heavy doors. The incident actually improved the evening. Guests thought it was the most entertaining dinner show they'd ever seen. In 1432, at a crucial diplomatic dinner between English and French nobles, a tired kitchen apprentice made a massive blunder. He mixed up the salt barrel with powdered lime meant for cleaning. The head chef, rushing to prepare the feast, didn't notice until it was too late. When the guests took their first bites of the main course, chaos erupted. The French ambassador spat out his food, his face turning red. The English nobles started coughing, while servants scrambled to remove the tainted dishes. What could have been a peacemaking dinner turned into a disaster. The French delegation saw it as a deliberate insult, storming out and threatening to restart hostilities. It took 3 months of diplomatic letters and a gift of 50 wine barrels to smooth things over. After this, all royal kitchens started marking ingredient containers with different colored ribbons. In 1452, London's biggest pie shop near St. Paul's Cathedral faced an unusual crisis. The owner, trying to save money during a meat shortage, started filling his famous pies with cheaper mystery meat and stale bread. But his plan backfired when customers bit into their pies and found them filled with pigeon and old crusts instead of the promised venison. Word spread quickly through the streets, and angry customers gathered outside the shop. The crowd grew as more people shared their bad pie stories. The situation got so heated that the City Watch had to step in when customers started throwing the offensive pies at the shop's windows. The incident led to London's first food quality laws, requiring pie makers to display their ingredients. The shop owner, nicknamed Pigeon Pete, had to publicly apologize and spent a month giving out free, properly made pies to win back trust. In 1489, at a crucial diplomatic dinner in London, the royal cook had been celebrating his birthday a bit too enthusiastically with the castle's wine supply. His big task was preparing a peacock for the French ambassador, a dish that symbolized luxury and skill. But in his tipsy state, he completely forgot to cook the bird. He just arranged the feathers beautifully and sent it out. When the ambassador cut into the peacock, he found completely raw meat. The dining hall erupted in chaos. The ambassador turned green, the English nobles pretended not to notice, and the kitchen staff panicked. King Henry VII saved the moment by turning it into a joke about English cooking being so fresh you could still hear the birds singing. The cook woke up the next day with both a hangover and a new job cleaning the castle stables. Thanks for joining us on this wild journey through medieval dining disasters. If you enjoyed these tasty tales of chaos, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share with your history-loving friends, and we'll see you next time for more fascinating stories.